Yeah, I don't know where you guys are at on the Hildeby versus Matt Murray in the quite a sad backup battle here, but
Ah,
I've seen, a couple Matt Murray games here. I think I'd like to go back to the well on seeing Hildeby again here.
yeah.
Like, I think I've seen enough from the 2 games that he's played in here where I'm like, you know what? Maybe try Hildeby now.
To me, you keep saying, "Why don't you take it?
Yeah.
You play. Why don't you show us it's yours?"
So just on that, Matt Murray has been assigned back to the Marlies, and Hildeby has been recalled.
But
so
I'm not sure if that's the cap thing that they did before.
but
Their cap, it's very comparable.
No, but like with
$30,000 difference.
But it's not about that. It's about, remember him clearing waivers. Like if he spends a certain amount of time on the
That's a good
roster
point. Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
has to go back down,
Yeah.
that he doesn't have to clear waivers at a certain point. So I don't know if it's that or they're actually going to start Hildeby
It
in
would
the
be
second half of the
shocking
back.
if they called him up tomorrow and put
Yeah.
him on the bench instead of
I don't
Hildeby.
think that's
What's the-
happening.
What's the point, right?
I think based on what we saw last night, they're looking at Matt Murray going, this guy just needs to play,
Yeah.
and he needs to play down there.
Yeah.
He's not up here. Okay, your timing's off. You've been away for a long time. Go get some reps.
Nothing will help him become a better goalie and find his old form like playing. He just needs to be in the net as much as possible.
Yeah.
So be it.
And clearly, you're shaping up for Joseph Wall against the Islanders,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
Like,
Tuesday,
there's no
Thursday,
excuse to go to a backup goalie tomorrow or Thursday.
No, because particularly if you do it Thursday, then you've still got a back-to-back where you're probably giving one to a backup, and now you're just giving a
That's
lot
coming.
of backup games away.
That's coming. So
Yeah.
it's better Hildeby at this point
So
than
now-
Matt Murray against Boston or Philadelphia next weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably won't see a backup till Murray probably plays on Saturday or Hildeby, whichever. But the point is, you're going to see Wool get a playoff-like schedule here for the next couple weeks until Stolarz is back. Probably three games per week.
All right. For his thoughts on our first Kippers Clipper and first of last in 2024, let's go to Craig Berube.
All righty.
Clip 6.
No, for sure. But it's about results too, right? And it's about how they play and things like that. So we're going to look at all that. But yes, our schedule is more, easier to, get one guy running here a little bit. So that's, we'll just, listen, I'm just focused on tomorrow's game. That's it. I'm not going beyond that game. I'm going to focus on that game only, and then I'll worry about the next one.
So,
Ruby has a cold, huh?
yeah, join the rest of the world.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's no worry about, like I mentioned this before when we were talking about after Stolarz got hurt and they were pushing Wall. I know that they are in a pretty good spot here in the division, considering the Panthers just lost the Habs somehow. Anyways, I know they want to win the division, but is it worth, having subpar goaltending here to take it a little bit easy with Joe Wall as opposed to pushing him in a real starter's role?
Mm-hmm. So first thing,
Because if you lose him, then you're hooped.
Yeah. The first thing I want to note out of that clip, though, is just that he said it's about results, too.
Yeah.
So this isn't just about, management or waivers or whatever. It is something to do with Murray's performance the other night. So that's one note. The other thing is, I think to your point of earlier about Stolarz and let's see if he can do it, I think you're in a bit of that point with Wool, too, where I think you see if he can do it and play a lot, because it should give him confidence, that he can do it. If he gets through some of these stretches playing a lot of hockey, get to playoffs, okay, you've done it before, and if you can't, you need to know that too.
Yeah.
So I think you gather some good information here.
Again, without the pressure of back-to-back games, you're in a better position to go to Wall a lot more in January.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Stolarz isn't coming back anytime soon here.
No updates on that, eh?
Well, he's
Couple weeks.
not
probably.
skating.
Yeah.
Right? So
At least a couple weeks.
he's already been out 10 days, 2 weeks.
Sounds right.
So I would think he probably is still a month away from playing his first game.
Do you think so?
Well, if he starts skating
I actually think
next
you're
week,
right.
do you want to, how quickly you want to throw him back in?
Well, I don't know. You're right.
But
it's like
my point is, it's really kind of shaping up for Joseph Wall to have the majority of the starts, I believe, in January. But a lot will dictate on as early as the next 2 games on how, if he gets on a roll, you're gonna say, hey, run with it a little bit here. as long as there's no back-to-backs.
And you've seen Stolarz do it when Wall was out. You're seeing Marner do it when Matthews is out. Like, if you want to be a big name, you got to step up when the other guy's out.
Like, if he struggles, they lose the next 2 games and he struggles, then you got a lot more of a concerning issue on going to Hildeby or maybe calling Matt Murray back up. I don't know. But until that happens, you got to your point, hey, it's not like you've been overtaxed. You didn't start the season. You were hurt. Like, if you get on a roll here, let's run with it a little bit.
Yeah, and he's 24 or 25, whatever he is. One thing I do want to do is kind of update where they are in the division. Right now, they're tied with Florida. Florida has played 37 games, and so have the Leafs. They both have 22 wins, 13 losses, 2 OT losses for 46 points. They're both a plus 10 goal differential. Dead tie.
It's like when you win, they win. When you lose, they lose.
They've just been mirroring each other. The one difference, well, there's 2 differences. Florida has 11 more goals for and 11 more goals against. So the Leafs are better defensively, not as good offensively so far this year. Oh, and the Leafs have 1 extra regulation win. So were they tied today, they would get the playoff spot.
If we are going to stay on the standings just for a split second, and I think there's a few teams in the East that can thank the New York Rangers for nosediving.
Last.
Right?
Dead last.
In the Metro.
Dead last. But Ottawa's taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they claim to win their game in hand that they have on both Florida and Toronto, they're 4 points out.
Yeah,
4.
You're not wrong. 4
4
points out of first in the division. The reality is, I mentioned the Leafs are tied for first in their division. They have a .622 winning percentage, which would be 4th in the Metro. It would be 4th in the Pacific and 3rd in the Central. So the top of the Atlantic is soft. The bottom's soft. It's a soft division.
Well,
I know, but there's 4 legitimately good teams between Toronto, Tampa, Florida, and Boston. Tampa is actually red hot.
Yeah. And they're a team that they've got plus 37 goal differential this year.
Best, yeah.
7-3 in their last game.
They're sniffing right behind.
Who
the
also
Leafs.
just lost to the Habs. Really weird.
Yeah.
Both Florida teams lost to the Habs. Anyways.
Head coach Craig Berube mentioned on his clip there he doesn't want to look any further than the New York Islanders. Let's get his thoughts on facing Patrick Waugh's New York Islander team.
Clip 5.
Well, we know what they are, and they've been a certain way for quite some time as a team. Their identity of how they play, and they're a patient team. They don't give you a ton. You got to earn your chances, and then it's important for us not to get impatient. And we got to stay with it, and it could be a real tight game. So we just got to stay with it. I think that at times throughout the, just going in the past, and I wasn't here, but I looked into it a little bit. It's just getting impatient at times and not committing to staying patient and, take what they give you. That's it. And we got to do a good job of that. I thought last time we played them here, we just opened it up too much, and they capitalized on the chances. And I think more than anything, that's the biggest key tomorrow.
And of course, he's speaking of a very convincing 6-3 win last time they were here. Like, this is, I haven't watched a ton of Islanders. You've watched way more than me, but Horvat was going, Barzal was going, Sorokin.
They're better than the record.
Like that if that wasn't one of their better, more complete games, then I don't know what is.
How about the game you went to, Bordy?
Guys,
Complete game?
I went to the worst performance by a hockey team in the NHL this year. I was on Long Island to watch Islanders, Sabres. Buffalo had lost 13 straight on Long Island, and they beat them 7-1.
Oh, my God.
So how do you go from looking so good against the Toronto Maple Leafs to 2 days later losing to Buffalo 7-1?
Pretty remarkable.
How? Tell me. Was
listen,
that the same team?
They looked old.
The Leafs center dilemma: who can strengthen the roster? If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan like me, you know the team's center depth has been a constant concern this season. With Austin Matthews set to return from a mysterious upper body injury next week, the excitement of having our star back is palpable. However, there are still serious issues to address in the center position to keep the team competitive and, of course, fuel our playoff dreams. David Kampf, a key piece in the center rotation, is sidelined with a lower body injury. As if that weren't enough, Kaye Jarnkrok is still recovering from surgery, leaving another gap in the lineup. Max Domi, expected to be a versatile asset, has been placed on injured reserve, further aggravating the situation after missing consecutive practices due to lingering pains. To sum it up, the Leafs are missing 4 functional centers, and the pressure to act is mounting. James Myrtle, a respected Leafs analyst and contributor to The Athletic, highlighted a series of potential trade targets to address this dilemma during his appearance on the J.D. Bunke's podcast. Among the names mentioned, 2 stood out: Nick Jugstad and, for the nostalgic fans, a possible reunion with Ryan O'Reilly. Jugstad seems to be Myrtle's favorite, and for good reason. The player, who signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Hockey Club last offseason, carries a manageable $2.1 million cap hit, which is essential for a team as salary cap-strapped as the Leafs. Additionally, standing at 6 feet 6 inches and weighing 205 pounds, he would bring not only physicality but also consistent offensive contributions. Jugstad is the most viable option for the Leafs right now, Myrtle stated on the podcast. And he's right. Experienced and versatile, Jugstad has played for several teams, including the Florida Panthers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota Wild, and Edmonton Oilers, and could quickly adapt to the Leafs' dynamic. With an affordable contract and a solid track record, he offers a practical solution without sacrificing too many future assets. However, it's impossible to ignore the possibility of a Ryan O'Reilly return. Yes, we know he chose the Nashville Predators last summer in search of a quieter environment, but the Leafs management still holds him in high regard. The 2019 Stanley Cup-winning captain with the St. Louis Blues is precisely the type of player any contender would love to have on their roster. However, the cost of bringing him back would be steep, both in terms of trade assets and cap space adjustments, as Nashville or a third team would need to retain part of his salary. I don't think the O'Reilly scenario is entirely out of reach, Myrtle said, showing that there's optimism within the organization. However, there are doubts about how much it's worth investing in a 33-year-old player, even with his impeccable credentials. Meanwhile, cheaper internal options like Steven Lorentz, Connor Dewar, Pontus Holmberg, and Fraser Minton have been mentioned. But let's be honest, these names might serve as short-term stopgaps, but they're far from offering the stability and impact the team needs. The pressure is all on GM Brad Treliving. He knows that despite the Leafs' solid performance so far, the center position is crucial to sustaining any championship aspirations. With the trade deadline approaching, Treliving has likely intensified his efforts to finalize a deal. And we, the fans, are eagerly awaiting good news. For now, all we can do is trust that the team can weather this tough phase and hope a solution, whether it's Jugstad, O'Reilly, or another name, arrives before things spiral out of control. After all, as we all know, the Leafs don't have the luxury of wasting another season with a promising but incomplete roster. The time to act is now. The Leafs center dilemma, expanding on the potential solutions. The Toronto Maple Leafs, amidst another promising yet tumultuous season, face one of their most pressing challenges, addressing a depleted center lineup that threatens to derail their momentum. While the return of Austin Matthews is a beacon of hope, the broader picture remains dire, requiring urgent action from the front office. With Kampf, Jarnkrok, and Domi sidelined, the team's depth has been stretched thin. The immediate impact is clear on both ends of the ice. Defensively, the Leafs are struggling to suppress opposing top lines without reliable two-way centers. Offensively, puck distribution and power play setups have been less dynamic, as the makeshift lineups lack the same chemistry. This imbalance underscores the necessity for reinforcements. Nick Jugstad, as highlighted by James Myrtle, presents the most realistic trade option. His affordable contract and towering physical presence align perfectly with the Leafs' needs. Beyond his imposing stature, Jugstad brings versatility. He can play both center and wing, a flexibility that would allow head coach Sheldon Keefe to adjust the lineup dynamically. However, acquiring Jugstad isn't without complications. The Utah Hockey Club, formerly the Arizona Coyotes, is currently rebuilding but may still demand a premium return for their experienced forward. The Leafs will likely need to part with a mid-tier prospect or draft pick to make the deal work. With their prospect pool already thin, Treliving faces a tough decision. Another name that excites fans and analysts alike is Ryan O'Reilly. The former Conn Smythe winner and Stanley Cup champion has a proven track record of elevating teams in high-stakes situations. His leadership during his brief stint with Toronto last season left a lasting impression. Yet, the Predators have little incentive to move him unless the offer is overwhelming. Should the Leafs pursue O'Reilly, it would almost certainly require a multi-asset package. A first-round pick and a promising young player like Nick Robertson might need to be part of the conversation. Additionally, Nashville would have to retain salary, a process that often involves a third-party team to facilitate. The logistics are challenging but not insurmountable. Internal options like Pontus Holmberg and Fraser Minton offer short-term relief but lack the experience needed for a deep playoff run. Holmberg has shown flashes of potential, but his limited NHL exposure raises questions about his readiness for a consistent role. Minton, while promising, is still developing and would be better served continuing his growth in the minors. A wild card option could be exploring European leagues or waiver claims to unearth an overlooked talent. Teams like the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche have found gems in unconventional ways, and the Leafs scouting department may need to cast a wider net to uncover an affordable, immediate solution. Another factor complicating the Leafs' decisions is the looming salary cap crunch. With Matthews' extension set to kick in soon, Toronto must be mindful of every financial commitment. Adding a high-priced center now could limit flexibility during the off-season, forcing Treliving to juggle short-term needs against long-term sustainability. Trade timing will also play a pivotal role. Acting quickly could stabilize the team and prevent further slip-ups in the standings, but it may come at the cost of negotiating leverage. Alternatively, waiting closer to the deadline could yield better deals as selling teams grow more desperate. The risk, however, is enduring several more weeks of uncertainty. Sheldon Keefe's role in navigating this storm can't be overstated. His ability to extract maximum effort from an injury-riddled lineup will be crucial. Keefe has already experimented with unconventional line combinations, but the lack of true centers limits his tactical options. A new acquisition would provide the stability he needs to implement a more structured game plan. The Leafs locker room has remained resilient through adversity, with veterans like John Tavares and Morgan Reilly stepping up as vocal leaders. However, even their efforts may not be enough to overcome the absence of key personnel. Reinforcements are not just a luxury, they're a necessity. For fans, the anxiety is palpable. After years of playoff heartbreak, this season feels like another chapter in the saga of unmet expectations. Yet, there's cautious optimism. The team has shown glimpses of brilliance, and the addition of a solid center could be the missing piece that transforms them from contenders to genuine threats. As the trade rumors swirl, one thing is certain: the next few weeks will be critical in shaping the Leafs season. Whether it's Bjugstad, O'Reilly, or an unexpected name, the decision made by Brad Treliving and his staff could define not just this campaign, but the team's trajectory for years to come. For now, we wait, hopeful that the Leafs will seize the moment and finally deliver on their immense potential. Will the Leafs make their move? As the speculation intensifies, the Leafs fan base is holding its collective breath, waiting for signs of a breakthrough.